Matthew continues, "And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen." Mark, "And at the season, he sent to the husbandmen a servant." So at the season, I guess that would mean at the time to reap. When the time of the fruit drew near. Maybe I could say, "and when the season of the fruit drew near," instead of time. Or when the time of the fruit season? No. What does Luke say? "And at the season, he sent a servant to the husbandman." Mark and Luke are actually the closest. It switches the end. A servant to the husbandman, or to the husbandman a servant. Otherwise they're the same. At the season or when the season. I'll just have both statements in their entirety. "And at the season, when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen." Matthew and Luke agree with that ending. A servant to the husbandman, as opposed to Mark, to the husbandman a servant. So I'm going to start with the one being sent, and then to where. He sent. Yeah, that's all three. Luke has a servant. Mark, a servant. Matthew, his servants, plural, that they might receive the fruits of it. That he might receive from the husband of the fruit of the vineyard. So Mark is singular throughout. Luke, that they, the husbandmen, should give him the servant of the fruit of the vineyard. But the husbandmen beat him and sent him away empty. Again, he sent another servant. So Luke is singular, first servant sent, singular, another servant sent, singular. He sent a third. 3 times he sent one servant in Luke. Mark, him, one. Another servant. Another, and him they killed, and many others. So in Mark there's others, not just 3, but the 3 mentioned are all singular. Matthew starts out with servants, plural. Other servants. So the other servants are sent. 2 times servants, plural, are sent. But last of all, he sent them his son. Okay, so Matthew only has 2 sendings of servants, and then a third would be his son. Mark and Luke have 3. Mark adds at the end that there were others. So I think Matthew and Mark agree the most that there's more than 3. Luke says only 3 servants, each by themselves. So I think I'm going to go the way Mark has it, because that's more similar with Luke. He sent a servant once. A second time he sent a servant. Third time he sent a servant, and then others. Matthew is mentioning all of these events combined. And the husband took his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. Mark and Luke agree. Matthew is, again, summarizing like Matthew always does. So a servant. Luke, a servant. Matthew, his servants. I think the fact that he's sending them automatically makes them the man's servants. So I'm going to go with Mark and Luke, a servant sent by him, instead of his servants, plural. So Mark and Luke, a servant. And I'm not going to say servants from Matthew, so I'm just going to say the word's not there, even though it's mostly the same. I don't want people to be able to say I'm lying. I took the words from Mark and Luke specifically. To the husbandmen. That's all three. Luke continues, that they should give him of the fruit of the vineyard. That they should give him. Mark. That he might receive from the husbandmen of the fruit of the vineyard. That the servant would receive, or Luke, that the husbandman should give. Matthew has that they, the servants, might receive the fruits. Okay, it has they, but this they is not referring to the husband, it's referring to all the servants. Not just this first time, but all the times. The next group sent, he sent other servants from the first, and they did to them likewise. So Matthew and Mark agree. It's the servants who are supposed to receive. Only Luke says it's the husbandmen that are supposed to give him of the fruit of the vineyard. So I'll go with the majority witness, Matthew, Mark. The servants receive, but I'll still have that he might receive. And I know it's only Mark, but receive is Matthew and Mark. That's the majority witness, which requires he from Mark. The word that is all three. He, Mark only, might receive Matthew, Mark. Matthew, the fruits of it. Mark has of the fruit of the vineyard. Luke, of the fruit of the vineyard. I guess I'll just include all the extra words. Luke continues, but the husbandmen beat him and sent him away empty. Mark, and they caught him and beat him. Matthew, and the husband took us. Okay. Now I'm going to begin with Luke, how it continues. But the husbandmen are mentioned in Matthew and Luke, so I'll put that instead of just they. Luke beat him and sent him away empty. Mark caught him and beat him. So caught should come first before beat. Matthew took his servants and beat one and killed another. So I guess took and caught are comparable. I imagine the word catching to have been the result of a chase. But these servants are coming straight to them, so you're not necessarily catching them if they're already right in front of you. So I think I'm going to go with took from Matthew instead of caught. Took his servants, but I'd have to go with him from Luke. Mark is they caught him and beat him. The first him is in italics in Mark. The second him is there. That's opposite of Luke. The first him is here, beat him, and the second one is in italics, sent him away. So I'll go back and forth to have where the words are actually present. Took is only Matthew. Him, that's in Luke. But that's after beat him. Mark has beat him. Oh, you know what I could say? I could say they took and beat him and sent him away empty. Yeah, like Mark, they caught and beat him. They just add the him at the beginning. I don't know why. They caught him and beat him and sent him away empty. Which is fine, but it works without it. They caught and beat him and sent him away empty. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave off the him. But I think the second one the second added him, which would be the third him in Mark, sent him away empty. I think that one should be there. So I'm just going to go right into and beat him. But I'm going to save one of these hymns for when they sent him away empty. I'll say this hymn is only Mark. Matthew has took his servants and beat one. Okay, so and beat is actually in Matthew. So I'll say the and is Matthew, Mark. Beat is all three. And instead of just one, because he's mentioning all of them together, I'll just skip that word. And sent. Now I'm going to use the hymn from earlier in Luke, back to both Mark and Luke, away empty. I just realized I skipped a small section of words in Mark. At the season he sent to the husbandman a servant, that he might receive from the husbandman of the fruit of the vineyard. In this next verse it says, they caught him and beat him. I think it'd be a bit annoying to have it the way Mark has it. I'd rather have a little bit of space between the two. It just seems cumbersome to have these people mentioned so closely together. So I'm actually going to leave it that he might receive of the fruits of the vineyard. And then I already put the husbandman from Matthew and Luke, so I'll just combine Mark's mention of the husbandman here. Matthew has, again, he sent other servants more than the first. So I don't know what to do about that. I think what it means is more than the first time that he sent servants. But clearly there was more than just one time he sent them out from Mark and Luke. So you know what? I think I might put first to the first servant that was mentioned. And at the season when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent, instead of a servant, I could say the first servant. Otherwise, I would just have to leave out the first, because the first there was only one. Yeah, I'm going to do that. The first servant.